Oil, a 10-month low, still $42 per barrel. Who's with us on a Thursday morning to cover this market action? I'll tell you, Ashley Webster, John Layfield, and Scott Martin. Right now, Senate leadership meeting behind closed doors about health care. No market impact yet, but if there is news that they're making real progress and they're going to get something done, Scott Martin, I think that could lift the market. What say you?
Definitely, Stuart. I mean, we've had this months of lull period here where nothing's been done. In fact, I would argue that the opposition in the House and certainly the Senate has only risen. So seeing some progress on health care here with the notion that the president and Paul Ryan and others worked with the Senate to get something in there for everyone is a great sign for the next big steps for this country, which is tax reform, which needs to happen here by the end of the year.
John, would you agree with this? And my premise is that if we see a real progress in the immediate future on health care, just getting something done, I don't care what is done, just getting something done, that's a shot in the arm for the market.
Absolutely. I 100% agree with the premise. Unfortunately, I don't think it's going to happen. They had 7 years. They all campaigned on the fact they would have Obamacare repeal on the president's desk day one. They all lied. And I don't know why. I don't think the market believes them, and they shouldn't believe them. These guys have been wrong and lied about everything else they said they were going to do. I don't see them getting it done.
Well, we might get dribs and drabs of small items within that plan leaked today. The meeting starts. It just started, actually. We're expecting to see some senators emerge, address the cameras with some kind of news announcement. So we're following that, obviously. The price of oil still at a 10-month low. John, I say that the stock market, has a huge problem if oil drops below $40 a barrel. It's at 42 now.
Yeah, I think we do, and I think there's a basis for this. Look, you have Saudi used to be the swing producer on this. Now it's shale oil, specifically in West Texas and the Bakken Formation. So I think you have a lot of that shale that will come offline. You can't trust OPEC to deal with the quotas that they say that they're imposing, because you look at their production, it's always over those quotas. I think, but the Bakken Formation and the shale in West Texas, when they pull that supply offline, that will keep it above $40 a barrel.
Okay, I've got another story on Uber. A board member has walked away from the job. His name is Bill Gurley. He's the guy who had a lot to do with getting rid of Travis Kalanick as the CEO. That's Kalanick right there. I'm sorry, no, that's Bill Gurley. Now, they're talking about a possible successor at the top of Uber. One name mentioned is Sheryl Sandberg. Scott, what do you say to that? The whole idea of bringing in an experienced Silicon Valley outsider, come on in, run the company, that would surely revitalize the business, wouldn't it?
It would, and I'll tell you, being female, I think, is big given the connotations this company has surrounding it, Stuart. But I'll tell you what's funny. Would she want the job? I mean, this is a Herculean task to ask anybody to come in there and take over the reins. Plus, what's the compensation incentive here? You know, in Silicon Valley these days, what you get is you get some salary, but you get stock. And to me, the valuation of this company at, what, $70 billion is way too high. So if they compensate her with a bunch of stock, which in my opinion is going down in value with all these controversies, with the market share they're losing to competitors, I'm not sure it's that great of a deal for anyone.
Okay, John, do you think that Uber can be saved from itself?
Sure I can. I think you're going to have some type of problem, especially in Europe when they start talking about they need to be regulated. I think Sheryl is the right person. I agree with Scott. Look what she did at Google and Facebook. It's just up to Sheryl whether she wants this monumental challenge, because, look, you don't want to be like Marissa Mayer. You don't want to go in there with all the bands playing and that you're going to save a big company and it fail. I think that weighs on Sheryl's mind as well.
Ash?
I think Uber's in a better place than Yahoo was when Marissa Mayer took over. Look, it's a good model. I walk from here to Grand Central every day, and I see Uber cars by the hundreds, it seems like, on every corner. Someone like Sheryl Sandberg can come in, bring in their own management team. They need a CFO, they need a COO. If they bring in their own management team and settle this thing down, address the loss of the market share, I still think there's good potential for Uber.
Okay, here's another story. We've been talking about it, kind of dancing around the edge of it. We're talking about Amazon now. Yes, they did buy Whole Foods. And with that purchase, they really set the cat amongst the pigeons in the grocery business. So there's a question overhanging the market now. Is Amazon too big, too powerful, Should it be broken up? I don't know how you'd break it up, but that's the story that's circulating around the edges of the financial world. What do you say, John? Break up Amazon?
I don't know if you break it up, but if Teddy Roosevelt was president, there would already be monopoly charges against this company. I don't know how this hasn't been mainstream press already. Look, when they bought Whole Foods, you had CVS and Walgreens down about 5% because they thought they were getting into pharmaceuticals as well. At some point, this company becomes a monopoly. Look, 8,600 retail stores are online to close this year. 6,800 were what closed in the height of the recession in 2008. And Amazon, what they've done in the last 20 years at a 25% growth rate, they're going to do again in the next 3. So, yes, I think the monopoly talk is very justified.
What do you say to this, Scott? The idea of breaking up or certainly reining in some of the big techs, Amazon in particular?
Yeah, you know, Stuart, I don't think this is your father's monopoly, or as like John likes to say, Teddy Roosevelt, which, John, I love the way you say Roosevelt. Roosevelt's monopoly. Here's why. And I love it. I do. The only thing is, think about monopolies of yesteryear. What happened? They eliminated efficiencies and raised prices and had price monopolies. Amazon's kind of doing the opposite. Yeah. They're creating more efficiencies for consumers and lowering prices. So to me, let them do it because they're helping out consumers.
I'm with you. I just feel that when you accumulate that of power, and the 5 big tech companies, Ash, they've got an enormous amount of power.
I bet you it comes from Europe first, because God knows they hate every big American company, so I think Europe would jump in first.
And you'd have a political response to the accumulation of power.
Correct.
And I don't know what form that response will take, but I think it's coming. Now, this morning, President Trump hosts a tech summit. It's all about the increasing use of drones and universal broadband. I'm picking up on universal broadband because I'm not sure what it is, Scott. Is there some kind of new plan to give everybody internet broadband just like that, like an Obama phone or something?
Yeah, free internet for all, maybe some hyperloops thrown in there, you know, all this really fun tech stuff that the kids are into, Stuart. But, you know, it goes to speak to this whole mantra of the administration, which is reaching out to the world leaders, reaching out at least to the world corporate leaders and saying, hey, what can we basically do for you? And I think this is a good mode of communication to open with respect to what we've had going on for the prior 8 years, where it was always, you didn't build that. And so at least we have a connection now between D.C. and the corporate environment that will flourish growth.
Fair point. Starbucks. As we've told you on this program, they're planning to hire 2,500 asylum seekers in Europe. John, are they getting political again?
They are, and they have for some time. And you look at what happened with Kevin Plank, who I think has done a wonderful job with Under Armour, the stock I own, by the way. And because he got political, he almost lost some of his key endorsers. And I think that has a real potential. Look, when you get political in the world today, half of the world is going to hate your stance. So it's very tricky to do that.
All right, check that big board. We're now almost 10 minutes into the trading session this Thursday morning, and we are down 7 points. Go nowhere, pretty flat market thus far. Home prices, I mean, they're really riding high. However, home ownership is at a 50-year low, believe it or not. Now, 5 years ago to the day, Donald Trump, then Donald Trump, put out a tweet. This was June the 22nd or June 23rd, what was it? June 22nd, 5 years ago exactly. And he said, now's the time to buy real estate. He said that 5 years ago. I guess he got it right.
I guess so, because that was just after, you know, we'd gone through the financial crisis. There were some good deals to be had out there. Now look at the median price of a home, as per yesterday's report, is the highest ever on record.
Our market watchers don't want to hear this. But, you know, an alternative investment from stocks would be the real estate market. Are you dabbling, Scott Martin?
You can call me Scotty Markets. That's fine. That's my Twitter. You know what, Stuart? You've been following me, which is great. Here's the thing. The only comment I would say about your notion there about versus stocks or bonds is, remember, the home is still an illiquid asset. Yes, depending on the market, you can sell it in a day, a week, a month, whatever, but it still is relatively illiquid versus a stock or money market. So, yes, it's a great alternative asset, but just know that the time to sell it is not something you determine. It depends on who the buyer is.
All right, it's Thursday morning at 9:40 Eastern. It's time for me to say goodbye to John and to Scott. Thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate you being with us.